Each year, scientists, researchers, and everyday people make incredible discoveries, helping us to better understand the world around us. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at interesting discoveries. Former Chernobyl engineer reveals he witnessed a major nuclear leak at the plant 4 years before the 1986 disaster. An engineer who was previously employed at the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant has recently revealed that he bore witness to a major accident 4 years prior to the disaster that occurred in 1986. Nikolai Steinberg was one of the Ukrainian engineers who built the plant near the Soviet city of Pripyat, as well as served as the head of turbines in the summer of 1982, when, according to him, a serious incident took place. Nikolai appeared on the UK's Channel 5 documentary series called The Chernobyl Disaster, in which he said he witnessed steam coming out of a pipe outside of his office during what was meant to be a routine exercise that was a part of a major nuclear leak at Reactor 1 of the plants. However, he alleged that officials at Chernobyl never addressed the situation. In fact, Nikolai alleged officials tried to bury the incident. The former Chernobyl engineer further explained how he became a witness to this incident. He says he was in his office at the time of the routine exercise, but there was an announcement regarding an accident at the second unit, at which point he left his office, and that is when he saw steam coming out of the ventilation pipe just outside his office. The steam was actually a sign of a major nuclear leak. Reactor 1 was then shut down, and Nikolai told his team to wait, having thought the officials would brief the workers on the incident that had just taken place. He continued to explain that he told his team they were not going home but instead were having an emergency meeting. However, that meeting never occurred, and by 1 a.m. the employees went home. According to Nikolai, the KGB, the USSR's secret police, which was constantly present, quickly covered up the accident. He says that is how things worked, and even though he knew, there was no information about why it happened. The engineer divulges that the employees were never officially informed, and there were no reports made. Historian Dr. Natalia Chernyshova said the KGB would have had two priorities after the 1982 incident, which would have been to investigate whether that was an act of sabotage or whether somebody was being negligent, as well as contain any rumors that might have been going around in order to prevent possible panic. Natalia notes that when she looked into records on Chernobyl dating back to 1983, which were only declassified in 2017, she discovered the presence of distorted rumors spread by a resident of Pripyat. She adds that none of this information was made available to the press, as this was the kind of situation that the Soviet Union dreaded. The same report reveals that in the space of January 1978 to December 1982, the station experienced 27 accidents and 87 equipment failures. 5 of these accidents and 16 failures were in the 12 months of 1982. Following the reactor malfunction seen by Nikolai, radiation spread over a 9-mile radius around the station. Unfortunately, the residents of Pripyat were never notified. Scientists find potentially alive 830-million-year-old microorganisms. A recent discovery has scientists rethinking the history of life on Earth. A team of geologists have discovered potentially living microorganisms that may be 830 million years old. They found the tiny remains of prokaryotic and algal life inside halite crystals. This discovery points to the possibility that halite, also known as rock salt or sodium chloride, may be a great resource for studying ancient saltwater environments. Additionally, just like the microorganisms the geologists found inside the halite crystals, they may find more organisms that might still be alive. This study has many implications for the study of ancient life here on Earth, but also on other planets like Mars. On Mars, scientists have already found salt deposits that may be evidence of ancient water reservoirs. The possible life that scientists found inside the halite crystals also presents ancient life in an entirely new way. In their research paper presenting the study, the team writes, "Ancient chemical sediments, both on terrestrial and extraterrestrial origin, should be considered potential hosts for ancient microorganisms and organic compounds. Ancient microfossils had been found pressed into rock formations which preserve life in a different way than salt. Inside the halite, fluid can be preserved, and these fluid inclusions are incredibly valuable as they contain information about the water at the time the mineral was preserved, like the water temperature, chemistry, and atmospheric temperature. Previously, scientists have found other microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, and algae inside halite environments. Some of the questions they are still trying to answer are whether or not those organisms are as old as the halite they live in, and whether or not they are even still alive. The researchers have noted that the fluid inclusions could serve as microhabitats for the organisms. They also know that there are organisms in modern extreme environments that can essentially go into hibernation where they are still alive, with their biological activities slowed down. This could be the case with the microorganisms inside the halite. In addition, they have already found living prokaryotes inside 250 million-year-old halite, so it's possible that number will reach as high as 830 million with other findings such as this recent one. Scientists researching this finding have noted that these microorganisms can now be identified without destroying the samples, which could give scientists a new set of tools that can be used for identification that can have broader implications for our understanding of Earth. Mysterious shards of glass are strewn across miles of desert. About 10 years ago, throughout Chile's Atacama Desert, several glass shards were found, covering a large span described as a corridor of glass, reaching for 75 kilometers. There are simply too many shards of glass to be counted, though the strange fragments do seem to have a few sites they cluster around more densely. The shards are also rather varied, not uniform by any means, with some large pieces of glass reaching 50 centimeters across. Again, there is not a specific consistent texture maintained throughout them all. Scientists have reported that some features look nice and smooth, and others appear rough. It has also been said that the glass looks as though it has been folded or somehow manipulated to take a twisted shape, though, as we all know, glass really isn't malleable. Lead author and planetary geologist Peter Schultz, a professor emeritus at Brown University, said in a new study taking a peek at this decade-long puzzle, "Many have morphologies indicative of sliding, shearing, twisting, rolling, and folding, in some case more than twice, before being fully quenched. While we might have only stumbled across these desert shards 10 years ago, it has been predicted that they have been here since around 12,000 years ago, though we do not know what caused them to appear, nor exactly how they appeared. One of the first hypotheses was that the strange glass was due to a large meteor exploding inside Earth's atmosphere. A big airburst upon exploding then pushed the fragments of hot space rock into the surface of the desert, with the shards then melting the sand and soil upon impact. This theory does sound somewhat far-fetched, though in reality it really is a serious contender in explaining just how these shards got here. A few other places around the planet have also seen similar strange glass appearances, and meteoric explosions have often been deemed the most likely explanation. Why would the Atacama Desert shards be any different? That being said, there are some other explanations too. It is possible that these shards could have formed in a natural surface fire, hot enough to act like a furnace. While the other explanation is still being considered, Schultz and his team have said that the meteoric rock explanation is a more likely explanation here in light of their new study. The team collected more than 300 samples of the glass and examined them under an electron microscope using a method called spectroscopy to look at the chemical composition. The team says that this analysis has revealed there is something extraterrestrial about the glass, that it is not entirely from Earth. According to Schultz, this is the first time we have been able to provide clear evidence that some glass on Earth is the result of thermal radiation and winds from a fireball that exploded not too far above the surface. Within the glass shards, there were thousands of exotic mineral grains, rarely seen on Earth. Upon the odd occasion that they are detected on Earth, they have only been found in extraterrestrial rocks, such as meteorites. One particular mineral, extraterrestrial cubonite, has been identified in NASA's Stardust mission in 2004, which took samples from the comet Wild 2. Now, with the composition analysis completed, scientists have suggested that whatever it was that left those shards all those years ago may have had a similar makeup to Wild 2, with similar elements and minerals being within both. We might never find a specific answer to this question, though our theories do seem to be getting more and more accurate. NASA rover discovers weird string-like object on Mars. Trash is something that everyone is familiar with littering the surface and even the atmosphere of our own planet Earth. But you typically do not expect to find trash in faraway space locales such as Mars. Yet that is exactly what has happened, as the Mars rover encountered several instances of cast-off rocket landing gear in the form of crumpled paper and tangles of cord. Although at first these items were dubbed mystery items by researchers, they quickly realized that these obstacles were in fact almost certainly debris from the 2021 landing of the Perseverance rover, which discarded its giant supersonic landing parachute and landing gear. The strange image of the mysterious space string went viral, however, before NASA could confirm the theory that it was nothing more than trash placed there by humans. And the internet demanded to know what the odd, spaghetti-like string was and whether it had anything to do with the planet of Mars itself. However, although when it comes to space, the real answer is rarely boring, in this case, researchers had to break the news gently that the photograph taken by the Mars rover was not a strange life form, nor was it proof of an alien civilization. It was nothing more than cast-off debris from a recent mission. And although spreading trash around planets besides our own seems negative, it is in some ways unavoidable, as landing spacecraft on the planet is a rather trash-filled affair. To slow the landing, which occurs at speeds of around 12,000 miles per hour as the spacecraft bursts through the planet's atmosphere, a supersonic parachute, rocket-powered landing gear, and a heat shield are required. In the case of the mystery items found on Mars, the tangle of rope was likely discarded from the parachute, and the crumpled, papery material was almost certainly a cast-off from the landing gear. Because it would require an incredible number of resources to collect these pieces of debris, the gear, parachute, and shield are left behind as the spacecraft or rover begins their scientific journey across the planet. Although researchers are always on the lookout for anomalies within the dusty red planet, which holds great promise for the discovery of extraterrestrial life, sometimes the things that are found are actually not remarkable and were unwittingly placed there by none other than us humans. But what do you make of these recent discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.